Hey everyone, and welcome back to India Explained. Today, we're diving deep into something huge. It's being called GST 2.0, and trust me, this is going to affect pretty much everything, from what you pay for groceries to the price of your next car. So, you're going to want to stick around for this. And hey, if you find this breakdown useful, do me a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out a ton. So, let me just kick things off with a question for you. What if the stuff you buy every single day just got cheaper, like overnight? Sounds kind of like a dream, right? A bit too good to be true? Well, believe it or not, that is exactly what the new GST 2.0 reforms are aiming to do. And these changes are coming into effect on September 22nd, 2025.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. The whole idea behind this big change, well, it's all about one word: simplification. The old way of doing things was, let's be honest, a little bit chaotic. But now it's getting a major cleanup.
Okay, take a look at this. On the left, that's the old system. 4 different slabs, kind of confusing. But now, look to the right. See how much cleaner that is? They've basically gotten rid of the super confusing 12% and 28% slabs for most things. What we're left with is a much simpler structure: 0%, 5%, 18%, and a brand new 40% slab, but we'll talk about what that's for in a bit. So, what is GST 2.0 in a nutshell? Think of it as a huge tax makeover, kicking in from September 22nd, 2025. It's got 2 main goals. First, to take that complicated tax structure and just make it simple. And second, and this is the big one for us, to make things more affordable, boost spending, and basically put more money back where it belongs, in your pocket. So, why this big change now? Why shake everything up? Well, the thing is, the old GST system, it was a good start for sure, but it wasn't perfect. It had some serious issues that really needed to be sorted out. For starters, there were just too many tax rates. This made things super confusing, not just for us, but for businesses trying to follow the rules. All these complex rules, plus rising prices, meant people just weren't spending as much for like a year and a half. So the government looked at this and said, okay, we need to do something to get the economy moving again. Okay, now for the part I know you've been waiting for. Let's talk about how this is actually going to affect your bank account. First up, let's look at stuff inside your home. And believe me, the savings here, they're pretty big. Wow, just look at these numbers. We're talking big ticket items like ACs, big TVs, even cement. They're all dropping from a massive 28% tax all the way down to 18%. Then you've got your daily essentials: toothpaste, shampoo, soaps, slashed from 18% to just 5%. But the best part? Look at the bottom. Everyday foods like paneer, UHT milk, and even our parathas, they're going from 5 or 18% down to 0. Zilch, no GST at all. That's huge. And the savings don't just stop at home. Nope. Let's head out onto the road, because getting around is about to get a little cheaper too. Now, this is a big deal for so many families. Think about it. Small cars used to get hit with a 28% tax plus something called a cess, which is basically just an extra tax on top of the tax. Now, it's a flat 18%. Same story for most two-wheelers. And this isn't just for personal vehicles. Trucks, buses, three-wheelers are all dropping to 18%, which should hopefully mean lower costs for everyone. Okay, let's shift gears to something that's, well, absolutely critical for every single family: your health. And what they're doing here is, honestly, it's a game changer. This is where you can really see the focus on helping out the average person. The biggest headline here: GST on your life and health insurance premiums is gone. It's dropped from 18% all the way to 0. That's an incredible incentive to make sure you and your family are protected. And that's not all. A whole bunch of life-saving drugs are now tax-free, and most other medicines and medical devices are getting their tax rate cut down to just 5%. So, with all these things getting cheaper, you've got to ask, how is the government going to pay for it all? Well, they've got a plan, and it involves making certain non-essential items a bit more expensive. Remember that new 40% tax slab we mentioned? This is where it kicks in. Things like sugary drinks, fancy luxury cars, SUVs, and tobacco products, they're all getting bumped up to this new higher rate. The message is pretty clear: tax the luxury stuff and the sin goods more. You'll also see a price hike on expensive clothes and shoes, and on coal. Oh, and just a heads up, the exact date for the new rate on tobacco and pan masala, that'll be announced later on. Okay, So we know how this hits our wallets, but let's zoom out for a second. What's the bigger picture here? What does all this mean for the entire Indian economy? So the government is essentially playing the long game here. Yeah, they expect to lose some tax money upfront. We're talking about 480 billion rupees. But here's the bet. By giving us all these tax breaks, they're putting that money back into our pockets. The hope is that we'll go out and spend it, boosting demand by almost 0.6% of GDP. It's a big shift in strategy, trying to grow the economy through our spending, not just government projects. And it's not just a government theory either. A lot of experts and business leaders are on board. Take this quote from Hemant Jain, the president of PHDCI. He points out that this is a win-win. It helps everyday people with their basic needs, and it makes it easier to do business. And when those two things happen, the whole economy gets a massive boost. So the idea is to create this sort of positive snowball effect. With more money to spend, we buy more stuff. That increased demand is great for businesses, especially the smaller ones, the MSMEs. Hopefully, that encourages companies to start investing again in new projects. That's what private CapEx is, and it all creates this upward cycle that helps big sectors like auto, consumer goods, and real estate.
Whew, okay, that was a ton of information. So let's wrap it all up. Let's talk about the key things you absolutely need to remember from all this. Here is your GST 2.0 cheat sheet. Number 1, simpler tax. Those confusing 12% and 28% slabs, gone. Number 2, more savings. Everyday stuff, small cars, homes, healthcare, all getting cheaper. Number 3, luxury costs more. Sin goods and fancy items are getting hit with that new 40% tax. And number 4, economic boost. The whole point is to put more money in our pockets to get the country spending again.
And that brings me to my final question, and this one is for you. With all these potential savings, you might have a little extra cash in your budget each month. So what are you going to do with it? Will you bump up your SIP, maybe pay off some debt a little faster, or is there something you've been waiting to buy? I'd love to hear your plans, so drop a comment down below. And there you have it, your simple guide to GST 2.0. Hope that cleared things up. If it did, please hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to India Explained. We've got a lot more simple finance guides coming your way. Thanks so much for watching.